On this episode, we're back with our Road Trip Unscripted series where anything goes, and this is the 5th installment as we drive down to Walt Disney World for our Main Street 16 Challenge Weekend. Today is February 3rd, 2023. This is episode 536 of the Main Street Magic Podcast.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts. Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Main Street Magic. I'm your host, Jeremy Stein, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely wife, Rhonda.
Hey guys.
Make sure you check us out on the web at mainstmagic.com, as well as follow on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at mainstmagic. If you've not done so already, head out to Facebook and search for the Main Street Magic community and ask to join. Then if you hit that subscribe button, you get brand new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. We all know that planning a trip to Disneyland or Walt Disney World can be overwhelming and at times just downright frustrating. But don't worry, because Mouse Dining will remove the frustration of booking Disney dining reservations, alerting you when they spot availability for your desired restaurant, date, meal, and time. Visit msmfriends.com to use this free service. And if you're looking to get groceries delivered right to your resort or hotel, look no farther than Vacation Grocery Delivery. They are run by and employ former and current cast members. There are no markups on your items that you get from the store, one set delivery fee, and now they can even deliver alcohol to your resort without you being present. Head to vacationgrocerydeliveryfl.com. Rhonda, where are we going? What are we doing?
Well, we are driving to Disney World, staying at the Wyndham in the Tower. That is right there at Disney Springs. It's the closest hotel. Very short walking distance, which is nice, for our Main Street 16 weekend.
Yeah, super excited. It is finally here. Today will be our trivia and live podcast recording. Then tomorrow on Saturday is the 16 ride challenge through all 4 parks. All this to benefit Give Kids the World. You can still donate by going to mainstreet16.com. Follow us on social media. Also, as Rhonda mentioned, we're staying at the Wyndham Lake Buena Vista there at Disney Springs. We are so excited about that.
Thank you, Main Street Travel.
Yes, if you were unaware, not only can Main Street Magic Travel go ahead and book your Disney-owned properties, they can also book Disney Springs locations, pretty much any other hotel. We just stayed at a loft the other weekend near Disney Springs. Book that through them. So you can go to mainstmagictravel.com, fill out a form for a free quote. So we are on the road, literally. We are in the car. We are headed to Disney. We're actually about an hour outside of Give Kids the World Village. We're stopping by there to pick up some items for this weekend. Super excited to see that. And we're going to do another episode of our road trip Unscripted. So we actually set up the portable podcast studio. We've got our little mics hooked up. And we are literally in the car driving, and we have a bunch of topics that are suggested by our friends in Wonderland Crew. You can check out more about our Patreon group at wonderlandcrew.com. And these are not necessarily just questions, but they're topics that probably don't warrant a full episode. So what we like to do is go through, we will randomly pick a couple from our spreadsheet, and then we'll just chat about them for however long it takes, right?
Okay.
You excited?
Sure. All
right. Pick a number between 1 and 12, Rhonda, and that is the first topic that we will start with.
Number 7.
All right. Here is the topic. Would you ever want to live in the resorts? Kind of like Here with the Ears did. Obviously, once the girls are grown and out of the house. How do you feel about that? Okay.
Absolutely. That'd be fun.
Yeah. Would you do it? What would, I guess, because when they did it, they went...
they sold their house and everything,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I hate to say it like this. I would want Disney to put me up. I wouldn't want to sell my house and try to do that.
Right.
Because if I did that, then honestly, I'd want to sell my house and just live a few minutes from Disney.
Get a permanent residence.
Right. Condo, townhome, tiny house type situation.
Now, let's just say, this is a fully hypothetical question or topic kind of anyway.
Yeah.
Let's just say we go ahead and play Powerball. We win a whole bunch of money. There's no need to sell our home, but we could easily take a year off from living there to live in Disney for a year. would you look at doing it where you're covering every resort? How long would you want to spend in the resorts? Like, how do you foresee that going? You know, I mean, at that point, are you looking at just booking only, villas and getting 1 and 2 and 3 bedrooms and actually having more of a home area? Or
no, I think I would probably do it kind of. I think if I'm saying it correctly, kind of like they did, because we still run a podcast, and I would want to be in a standard at All-Star to tell somebody, well, you know what, it's worth a little bit more money to be in a preferred, or it's worth this, or this is what you can expect from a regular consumer, instead of like having all the money and having them be put up in the villas and stuff.
Right.
And I mean, I'm not saying I would do like maybe, a couple nights here or there for those, and then maybe like weeks, at better places. I do remember they were upgraded a couple of times, or they tried to, and at one point they had to go, please don't, we're trying to do this for research
data,
purposes,
and research.
or data, or whatever they were doing. I don't remember.
Well, let's say this. So here's what you could almost do with it that I think would be super interesting is you got 52 weeks in the year. You've got roughly 26 resorts. If you spent 1 week in a room at a time, you could do 2 different rooms pretty much per resort. And then a week, I think, gives you a pretty good span. My biggest thing would be moving. And I know Disney will move your stuff, but moving every few days, I think would wear you out real quick. And then, of course, I know one thing that they, were up against was the food situation. It's one thing if you're in a 1 bedroom at a deluxe resort with a full kitchen,
right,
and you use vacation grocery delivery on your arrival, and you can go, you know what,
right,
we're going to cook, we're going to eat healthy some days. But if you're in a, All-Star, or you're at even, Caribbean Beach and a Coronado, you're eating out every meal. And, and what does that look like from the standpoint of, do you get sick of it? The variety, and things like that. I think it would be an incredible experience.
Oh, of course.
I think it'd be neat. I'd love to do one time where even you could just go away for just say a month and do, maybe 4 days at do 3 days at a value, 4 days at a moderate, and then do like 5 days at a deluxe, rinse and repeat throughout the month, and do something like that. Let's just say that, again, there was a lotto winning or whatever. There's some contest. Disney says you can live at Disney for a year. You can pick 1 resort, 1 room for that entire year. That is your residence for a year.
Oh, gosh.
What are you picking? And it's just you and I.
I would want, probably, I'm thinking possibly the cabins at Fort Wilderness.
Yeah, that's my immediate go-to.
Just because it's a full kitchen.
Yeah.
It's already got pots and pans and everything, dishes. And then you have places to explore around. And it feels like a tiny house.
I think.
Where would you pick?
You
sound like that's your go-to, but you actually have something else in mind?
Well, you could look at any 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, and then we could have some people visit us at any of the deluxe resorts, DVC resorts.
Right.
You're going to get full kitchens there. You're going to get living room space.
Okay.
You're going to have washer, dryer, something that you do not get in the cabins.
That is washer, dryer.
Right. But
I'd want washer, dryer.
But I like the separation of having your own home, as you mentioned, at Fort Wilderness and the cabins.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you have your own private space. Or I think of the cabins there, over at Copper Creek, over at Wilderness Lodge. You even got a porch with a hot tub. Those would be pretty cool.
That's where I'd probably want to be then. Do they have a hot tub? Do they have
what about a
washer,
bungalow?
dryer?
I believe those have a washer and dryer. Or a bungalow at Poly would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
I like hypothetical stuff. I find them fun. Because it's never going to happen, but it's fun to dream, right?
Sure.
I mean, we're never going to win the lottery. We don't play it, so I can guarantee that that's never happening. But maybe we should start.
Okay.
I think it's funny that people
play it every once in a while.
Every once in a while, but everybody plays it. Everybody plays it when it hits to like the billions. Like when it's at $1 million, why would you not go ahead and still play it, even if your take-home's only $500,000 cash.
See, and that's where I think that's messed up too. Not that we should be talking about this, but why can't they have multiple winning tickets?
You can.
But they should, just period. Like, when you go and you get one, that's just random.
Yeah.
They should have, like, 30 ones of those that across, or maybe more, I don't know. But, I mean, one person doesn't need $1 billion.
I agree 100%.
Anyways.
Yeah, no, I think it'd be better if it was split up. That's our other podcast called Winning the Lotto. Is it for you? All right, let's move on to the next one. And you are now going to pick a number between, I got to adjust some things. You're going to pick a number between 1 and 12.
3.
3? What do we do with It's a Small World?
I don't know. What do you mean? What do you do with it? You write it.
Do you keep it? Do you want to see it rethemed? Do you want to see it demolished?
I don't care.
You just want it to stick around.
It's fine. It's nostalgic.
We never ride it.
Only when your mom comes.
Right. Been years.
Yeah, Kaylin hates it,
Yep.
I guess, because of the song. I think it's cool. I think it's cool because it really does show what a small world it is.
Yeah.
Like, in real life, like, you know, there's been times where somebody knows somebody from this or that, and they're like, holy crap, that's such a small world, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, you could still say that, though, if there wasn't a ride. You could still say, wow, it's a small world.
Well, I know that, but I mean...
I understand the
I don't have a
nostalgia
problem
of it.
with it.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the nostalgia and the history and all. Again, I'm okay if it's still there, but I would love to see something new go in.
I'm just trying to say, what would you do?
Well, I originally had been saying for years, I would love to see Princess and the Frog. I think it would have been a great fit. You're going on a boat through the bayou. There's obviously no need for that. We're getting the retheme and the redo of Splash Mountain with Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Super happy for that. I do think it would have belonged a little bit better in Fantasyland, but that's okay.
Well, since it's right
can't
there,
wait for this.
could we just do Tangled?
I think Tangled's
Boat
another
ride?
one. Yeah, I think Tangled's a really good fit, but Tangled, you're then crafting an entire ride out of one scene with the floating lanterns, which I do think would be great. But are you going to get an entire ride that makes sense from the perspective of you being in a boat? Where I actually think what would be very fitting is Moana. You know, you have a movie that is pretty much all done on the sea or by the sea.
Yeah.
In boats. So you could be the wayfinder. You're finding your way, whether you're doing a retelling of Moana or you're doing an extended story. I think having it revolving around water, you could do a lot. I could see a lot of cool like projections in the water with Grandma, as the stingray coming under and going scene by scene. Would be, I think, a better fit, honestly, than pulling one scene from Tangled.
Yeah.
Or
Makes sense.
Or you take multiple Disney animated movies and take each individual scene for each room that revolves around water. So you have a Tangled scene in showroom. You've got a Moana scene in showroom. I'm trying to think of other ones off the top of my head without bringing in Princess and the Frog. But just different things like that, I think, could make a lot of sense. And have a fit, because we've always said too, like, It's a Small World no longer really truly fits in Fantasyland, right?
Yeah. All right. I'll take that.
So I think it'd be kind of cool to find something new that would go in there that, would draw more attraction in people, bounce wait times, maybe lessen them from Peter Pan right across the way there, and spread people out. Same with Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. You've now got several major attractions in Fantasyland that hopefully spread the people out some. I think would be really cool. All right, let's move on to our next topic. Got a couple more we can do here. Pick another number, Rhonda, between 1 and 10.
5.
5. What about a history of the MSM 16 Challenge and the work that Give Kids the World does? Well, that is just a fitting topic right now, isn't it?
It is. I actually don't know how it came up. Jeremy, I feel like that would be all you.
That definitely is not all me. I can tell you that much.
Okay.
we started the podcast 5.5 years ago now, and through several of the years, it was just kind of trying to grow it and, build a community. And then got to a point where like, hey, maybe we have enough of a following and enough people involved that we could do something to benefit charity. I think it really goes back to, this had been 15 years ago when we first got married before we had the girls. My parents do volunteer work for an organization up in Conway, South Carolina, called Fostering Hope. And they help provide foster kids and foster families and parents and such, clothing and toys and, all types of things. And they did kind of the Angels in the Tree every year for Christmas, where you got to, businesses or individuals would pick a child's name. They had a wish list for Christmas, and that individual or business would buy all those gifts. And we did that 1 or 2 years before we had the girls, because we had the ability to do it.
Right.
And it was really, really cool. And once we had the girls, I was like, all right, well, now we're, providing Christmas for our kids. And so there just wasn't as much as that we could do. So we didn't really do much for years. And I just wanted to get back to it. Like, there's something we got to be able to do. And whether, if we can't have enough financially just to give, then can we rally people around it and create a community that will, right?
Right.
And so I had an idea. I was like, all right, Give Kids the World Village is obvious, one that we would want to support and go to. They do absolutely incredible work, so sending children and their families with critical illnesses to Central Florida for a weeks-long vacation, where they can kind of just set everything aside and forget about what's going on and enjoy themselves. And that's just amazing. And there's some incredible stories. If you go to Give Kids the World's website, gktw.org, and learn more about them, go ahead, donate. Go to mainstreet16.com, donate. And so I think that was obvious, but it was like, all right, well, what do we do? And that's when our new friend, well, now it's been a friend for like a couple of years, but Gary Fernando reached out, and he had been very enthralled in kind of the Every Ride Challenge community on social media. And a lot of times they benefit Give Kids the World or some other organizations. And he was like, well, we could do some sort of ride challenge to raise money. And I was like, that's a great idea. This was coming out of COVID. This is where there were still a lot of restrictions in place. And I was like, I don't want to do an Every Ride challenge. For me personally, I know people have completed them. It doesn't feel obtainable. And especially when there are a lot of restrictions. I was like, what can we do that is still hard, still brings a ton of awareness, still gets people to kind of perk up and go, wait, they're going to do what now? But feels obtainable. I want someone to hear it and go, I think I could actually do that.
Right.
And Gary came up with the 16 rides, really over my love for college basketball and March Madness.
That's right. I do now remember this.
And he really crafted this idea of, what if we basically rank all the rides in each of the 4 parks, almost like we were ranking teams in a conference for basketball. And then we did a selection Sunday, where we randomly, through a lottery system, picked 4 rides from each park in a tiered system. And I was like, that is freaking genius.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
And that's where the 16 came up with.
That's cool.
Sweet 16, college basketball, Main Street 16 was an obvious thing. And so that's where we created it from last year. And it was a very big success last year for being our first year. We had basically a full year to plan this year. I think we have upwards of possibly 15 teams competing in the challenge.
Wow.
We've added
That's
this.
exciting.
It's very exciting. We've added this Friday event. We have a kickoff social Thursday evening. We're actually recording this Thursday on the way down. And we've really, I think, rallied a lot of people in the community around this. And that's where it came from. We will have a 3rd annual, 4th, 5th. Let's keep taking this thing as long as we can. Next year, we're probably shooting for April based on a planning standpoint. I don't know that February was the best for travel coming out of the holidays before tax season. So I hope that we can blow it up even more next year.
Yes.
And we'll decide, do we continue the 16 rides? Do we switch it up and do something different? I think as long as 16's attached to it, we got a website, we got a cool logo.
Yeah.
So let's keep going at it. So mainstreet16.com, always bookmark that, keep an eye on it. We'll come out of this one and we will quickly figure out exact dates for the weekend in April of 2024 at that point.
Yep.
And yeah, you'll be able to book through Main Street Magic Travel. Again, we'll, probably look at doing the Wyndham again because they've been so gracious with us, and we'll probably plan events at the Wyndham next year. So we're super duper excited. Oh, it's the best location. And, follow our social medias, obviously, all weekend. We will be talking all about the Wyndham and everything there. So that is very, very exciting. All right, we are going to move on to yet another topic. And let's go ahead, Rhonda, and now you're going to pick between numbers 1 and 9. 2. All right. Drive versus fly. What criteria push you each way? It's not necessarily something you and I relate to.
I just started to say, drive because we have to.
Well, but here's the thing,
Could you imagine flying right now?
That would be fun. We could see if David would come pick us up in the little tiny prop planes.
Oh, yeah, no. I don't know about that.
But let's change it, okay? We just did an 8-hour drive to the mountains in North Carolina. I just did a 6-hour drive to my parents.
10.
Yeah, technically 10 to get to Charlotte. Let's talk about some criteria that you would feel on a destination that is within. Okay, what is for you personally weighing drive time versus finance? Because that's what a lot of it comes down to, really, is financial. I think, for the most part, most people would prefer to fly over drive an extended distance. Usually the reason you pick to drive is because of financial reasons. It is cheaper to pay for gas, maybe food along the way, even if you have to stop in a hotel, than sometimes flying, especially when you're looking at families of 4. I think of our great friends Matt and Nikki. They come and visit us from New Jersey every Easter.
Yeah.
They have looked at the flying route. They look at the driving route. 4 people, 4 plane tickets.
Yeah, that's expensive.
How do you look at it? Let's just say we were going to go somewhere that is 10 hours away, and it's really pushing the budget on a financial standpoint. Are you still going, all right, to fly? Are you still thinking, well, let me look at it, is putting out financially worth the trade-off of not being in a car for 10 hours?
Well, here's kind of what I think, too, back to, driving. Excuse me. Literally, when the girls were younger, and my brother just did this when they were going up to the cabin, but when we'd go to visit your grandma in North Carolina, it was only about 8 to 9 hours, give or take. Well, we would drive about 4 hours, and we'd stay in a Holiday Inn Express. And the next morning, we'd have a nice breakfast, and then we'd get up, or after we had the nice breakfast, we'd drive another 4 hours, and then we were there. I think that's because we don't like driving. That's the situation that we would do versus fly. Because if you're talking, it's going to be $500 for me and you to fly somewhere for 10 hours like that. Or it's going to cost us $100 in gas and $100 in staying at a Holiday Inn Express, possibly. That's $200. You're saving $300.
Yeah.
I mean, I would still drive.
Yeah, I think that's really what it comes down to. I can say that I think you agree with me on this. We both hate driving, right? First of all.
Yes, but I think I hate flying more because I have to wear a patch. So.
True. And, the time can be a factor, but here's the other thing you're looking at, all right? Let's just say you go, all right, it is a 10-hour drive to get to this place. Or we can fly. And by flying, let's just say it's not that much more expensive. You find great flights, but chances are you're going to have a layover if you're finding a cheaper flight. You're going to have to get to, first of all, we're an hour from the airport, right? So one way, we're an hour from the airport. You should be there 2 hours prior. We're already 3 hours in.
Right.
Let's just say that flight, first leg is 2 hours.
I just started saying you can talk about my Vegas trip.
Okay, let's talk about your Vegas trip. No, you're not going to drive to Vegas.
No, but I am flying.
And how long is it going to take you to get there one way?
I have a 4-hour layover at JFK.
Yeah.
And then that's not counting, like, Rita told me to leave my house probably around 10 on Wednesday morning. And I should be, I think, arriving in Vegas time, around 9 something that evening, 9 p.m.
Which is midnight here. So you're talking about a 14-hour travel day.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's what I was saying.
And then how long would it really take me to, well, I don't know, to drive? I couldn't do it, in all honesty.
No, you're not driving across country.
My ticket cost me, like, a little under $300.
Well, that's an absolute no-brainer.
Correct.
But yeah, I mean, back to my math, we were already at 5 hours. If you had an hour layover, and then another 2-hour flight, and then another hour to get to your destination from that second airport, you're at 9 to 10 hours anyway.
Yeah.
So at that point, you might as well drive for a cost savings. And like you said, if you want to split the trip in half, and what we always do is we split the driving. So a 10-hour, usually a 10-hour drive would be 5 me and 5 you.
Right.
Which I think helps a lot as well. So
it does, but at the same time, I mean, being in the car for that long can be hard on my body because my body's not used to sitting at all.
Yeah.
And it hurts.
No, I definitely get that. I think I used to much more when I was younger prefer the flying route, but I'm looking back at a time where why are you laughing?
When you were younger.
Well, it's true because of a couple scenarios. One, I was just paying for myself.
True.
Right? Two, I was younger. It was a lot easier to sit in one still position in a cramped, maybe airline for longer. So that was a lot easier. Prices were, a lot cheaper for flights. So I think those are the options that you have to weigh. But I would say anything over 8-hour drive time, I am going to research what it costs to fly. Even if it would take me the same amount of time to get there.
Okay.
I think. For us personally.
Well, what about cost, though?
Well, that's where I'm going to research it.
Oh.
Again, I just, to go to Charlotte, it can be about an 8-hour, let's just say 9-hour drive for me, direct. And if I'm going by myself, and I look up and I go, all right, that's easy tank of gas up. Let's say it's 3 tanks of gas. That's $150.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say I go ahead and I break it up and I stop overnight, and that's $100. Well, there and back, that's $200. Right? So now I'm at $350.
Yeah.
And to go ahead and get
That's
food,
true.
you could still be at $400 or $500 if you do that hotel stay. Now, if I drive straight through, we're still maybe at $200-300. What can I get a flight for just myself?
Right.
So that's where I'm going to start to weigh those options, and I'm definitely going to do the research. All right, let's do one final one because we are not very far from Give Kids the World Village to pick up some fun items. Rhonda, final pick, numbers 1 through 8. Make your pick.
Number 7 again.
All right. Would you ever look to do vlogs and become a presence on YouTube to build up another audience to expand Main Street Magic? Is that
Would
something?
I?
Yeah.
No. Would you is the question. I feel like I have enough going on with working 3 12-hour days.
But your only involvement would be in the parks where you already are. Unless you're offering to take over producing the videos, then that would definitely take time away.
Oh.
All right, let's go back because we used to do this.
Yeah, we did. So, if that's what the people want.
I would love to do it, and this is something we have most recently had definite conversations about. Here's the one issue, if we're going to be fully transparent, is balancing content, especially when it comes to video form, between the live streams that we do for our Patreon group of Wonderland Crew and stuff that we would then provide to YouTube. We always want to make sure that we are providing value to our Patreon group.
Right. Absolutely.
And so our biggest discussion has always been where would the line be drawn between what would be on Patreon, which of course people pay for monthly, that we're so appreciative of all those people, compared to what we would give for quote unquote free out on YouTube.
Right.
And that is something we're definitely discussing because it's really hard to balance saying, all right, we're going to go into the parks, we're going to do Festival of the Arts, and we're going to do a full day recap on YouTube. but then we're going to live stream every single booth to Wonderland Crew, then where is that balance and who are we providing the true value to? And so that's really our thing, something we're constantly looking at and revamping. I would love to get out there and do it. I actually really enjoyed editing the vlogs when we did them in the past.
Oh, really?
But it certainly is a lot of additional work, but I do think it's something that I would like to relaunch here in 2023 once we figure out certain logistics.
Okay.
And again, that would only require you to do what you're currently doing.
Right.
We would just change the way we're using that content and who that content is going out to.
Right.
Whether it's Wonderland Crew or it's YouTube. But another thing that we did in the past that we got away from because honestly of the added work was videoing all of the actual podcast recordings. I mean, it's just the two of us sitting in our office. And that's something that I would like to get back to as well. That takes a lot more minimum editing.
Right.
Really, it takes none if we don't mess up.
Yeah.
But if we mess up, then you got to cut and you got to, go back and do the video for that. But that's something else that people would be interested in seeing. Please go ahead and provide that feedback, and we will certainly do what people are interested in seeing. If you'd like to consume the content, in a visual video format on YouTube, we'll be happy to get back to doing that. I don't know that we can go back in the vault and take previous videos. That would be a lot. And we haven't recorded anything in like 2 years. So I still have a bunch sitting around, I think. But that's definitely something that we could look at doing because we're always looking at expanding Main Street Magic and expanding our audience.
Yep.
And I think that would be a really, really good way to do it. All right. We're only several miles from our exit. This will be our first time stopping at Give Kids the World Village.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited. It's actually
too.
exit 68, which is the exit that we got off the other day.
Yes, it is.
And it is one exit before Disney Springs and Epcot.
Outstanding.
Exit.
All right. Well, and we're going to tour it Friday morning. This episode will come out first thing Friday. We have a 10 a.m. tour with our VIP group from the Stargazers Lounge event. And so we're going to get to see Give Kids the World Village in all its glory.
Yay.
And we'll talk about that on an upcoming episode. Go ahead and check our Instagram stories to see a little bit more. And, of course, you can get all the weekend live streams as they happen. If you go to wonderlandcrew.com and check out our Patreon group. We are going to be utilizing touringplans.com during the Ride Challenge on Saturday. Learn more about touring plans at touringplans.com. $17.95 for a yearly subscription. Cannot recommend it enough. It will help you save time in line. It will help you with getting Genie Plus, your individual lightning lanes, all those types of things. And then if you want the latest news and information that's focused on Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Universal Orlando Resort, and other themed entertainment and travel destinations, you can check out piratesandprincesses.net. Their news staff includes former Disney employees, journalists, and dedicated pop culture and theme park enthusiasts. Rhonda, thank you for joining me in the car. You had nowhere else to go. We will be back. We will be back next month, I'm sure, with another road trip, Unscripted. Thank you guys for submitting your topics there in Wonderland Crew. And if you want to go ahead, hit subscribe. You get brand new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. And then we'd always be super duper thankful if you could leave us a rating and review.
Because it helped our show grow.
That's all we've got. We'll see you real soon.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts, Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.